Well, I've got my time growing up on the farm. Did I do that?
You did briefly last time when we were trying to, yeah. But we're happy to go back to it if you'd like to. Um, but you have
Well, I
spoken.
know I didn't tell some of this thing. Well, look, growing up, growing up on the farm, I think I mentioned this before. In the 1930s, it was quite a difficult time, and I got to the stage, I got to the age where some education was required, and I was really a bit too young to send to boarding school, considering the distances and the roads between Nanyuki and Nairobi. So my parents hired a tutor, and that tutored me for a year together with my cousin Desmond Randell, and he lived about 3 miles away from the homestead, so he used to come across every day. And then when I was about 9, I had to go to boarding school in Nairobi, and I look back on our first trip going to school in Nairobi. That was the Nairobi primary school I went to, boarding school. We set off in the old rugby car, and I would have been 9 years old, and we had to trundle along this road, which was little better than a track, but at any rate it was a graded road, very poor condition, and we trundled off to Nairobi. And as you can imagine, with a road system like that, the school 120 miles from Nanyuki, I couldn't go home for long weekends. So I went to school, and there I stayed for 3 months and went home. And now that applied to all of us. Communications were not good in those days. So I went and found it extremely difficult leaving home, because I think, as I mentioned before, in between my brother Basil and I, there was a sister Dorothy that died, and a brother John. So as you can imagine, before Basil, who is 8 years younger than I am, he
Just a bit of light, better light. Oh, sorry.
who is 8 years younger than I am, I was quite precious to my family, so naturally I was obviously a bit spoiled, and I found going to boarding school extremely hard, not having brothers and sisters to sort of toughen me up, and then having to be put into an environment with a whole lot of other kids. Having been isolated on the farm, I found it extremely difficult. It took me a long time to settle. Anyway, I spent about 3 years there, starting at sort of kindergarten stage, really, because I was a year late in going to school. And I've come to a standstill.
It's fine.
Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Yes, well, that was sort of 9 years, and it's all a bit vague until, I remember until about 1940 when I turned 13. But just before when I was 12, I had quite a good time at school. I'd settled down, got used to mixing with the mob, and built up friendships. And I got to like cricket, and I remember we had a Mr. Ling, who was our cricket coach at school, and he was he played for the county Lancashire, and so and he's also a left-hand fast bowler in his day. So he took me under his wing, and because I was left-handed, and taught me how to bowl, and I progressed quite well.